Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to this special edition of Extreme Reloading. Today we're going to jump into alphabet soup, I guess. We're going to talk about COAL, coal, and CBTO. We'll talk about what those are, and that's probably the best place to start. Let's start by defining our terms. What we have here is a case. We can, of course, measure the case length. Now, case length is an important measurement when we are preparing our cases for reloading. Now, coal is not case overall length, it is cartridge overall length. And this is a case and this is a cartridge. So it's a fully loaded case, I guess you could say. And when we measure this, this is also another very important measurement, normally taken right at the end of our reloading process. And if we are working up a brand new load, that coal, or combined overall length, or cartridge overall length, is important, especially if we're trying to follow a recipe as closely as we can. But it's mostly important to ensure that it fits into the magazine. Okay, so pretty easy measurement to make, at least to have a good, reasonable measurement. We'll use our digital calipers right here. Turned it on, zeroed it out. I'm going to open up the jaws, insert the base or the head of that cartridge on one of those jaws, the one on the left in my case, close it up on the meplat of that bullet, and now I have a measurement of 2.775 of an inch. Now there's a couple of things that are pretty important when we're making that measurement, and that is that we ensure that the case is parallel to the caliper rule right here. If we have it off by a little bit, we're not going to get an accurate measurement. I mean, we could kind of exaggerate that, you know, something like this, and we would get a bad measurement. But one of the ways to do that, of course, is to make sure that the head of that case is very firmly placed on the jaws of that caliper. And once again, I get the exact same measurement of 2.775 inch, which shows that I have good repeatability of measures for combined overall length or cartridge overall length. Now the other measurement, the other bit of alphabet soup or acronym that we're looking at is CBTO. That is the cartridge base to the ogive of that bullet. Now that measurement is very important also, and usually comes into play when we're fine-tuning around to our particular rifle. It really has to do with how far out we seat the bullet or how far in we're seating the bullet. It matters how you want to look at it, glass half empty or half full. But the ogive of the bullet is the very first point at which the bullet makes contact with the lands inside the rifling. And some rifles are very particular to a certain type of CBTO or certain length or measure of CBTO, and in fact some bullets tend to be more particular to very exact measurements or very exact consistencies of CBTO. So that is really an important measurement. In fact, what I have found is ensuring that we have consistent CBTO and that my rifle likes that CBTO is, I mean, really, really important type of thing when we're crafting precision rifle ammo. In fact, I normally spend quite a bit of time, once I've got most of my stuff set, pretty much my optimal charge weight is set, all this other stuff is set. I know that this rifle does pretty well with a certain bullet, or well with a certain bullet, Then I'm going to start manipulating or modifying the seating depth of that bullet and very carefully make those CBTO measurements so that I can look at and find out what setting my particular rifle really likes or prefers. Now you might say, well, I can just do that with the coal type of measurement. And you might think so. In theory, you should be able to. But what we've found is that the metplat of the bullets from bullet to bullet, even inside a single box, that thing varies. The overall length of the bullet probably varies a little bit, but that metplat definitely varies, even on a polymer-tipped bullet. So we're not going to get consistent measurements, and you might be just confounded and frustrated because you've made these exact combined overall length or coal measurements, and you've got a nice 10 of them over here with an exact measurement, and then you have a slightly different bullet seating, another 10 rounds over there, and so on and so forth, and you go out and shoot, and there is no correlation between combined overall length and precision on target. None at all. And you're like, why did I waste all my time? Well, the problem is you took the wrong measurement. And so what we want to do is we want to make that CBTO measurement far more reliable measurement, and definitely it's going to tell you, it's going to help you craft some very precise ammunition. So let's take a look at how we measure CBTO. To start, I'm going to use, and I've been using this thing for years, the Hornady Lock and Load Bullet Comparator Kit and Basic Insert Set. Okay, that's a mouthful without a doubt. So I'm going to take a look at this thing. Now right now I have the 26 caliber insert inserted in this tool. I'm simply going to loosen up that set screw, set it aside, because I'm looking at and working today on my 308. So I need to find my 308 insert. There we go, 30 cal. Insert it. Tighten up that set screw just a little bit. No level of torque necessary. Just snug it up so it doesn't fall out. Now I'm going to take my digital caliper again, turn it back on. Whenever I turn that back on, I make sure that I'm back at 0. I'm going to open up the jaws, insert the tool, open up the thumb screw enough so that the tool can be inserted, or can be inserted onto the tool. I'm going to close it up. Now I'm going to tighten that thumb screw just a little bit, and I'm going to have a measurement. In my case, I normally see this measurement is just over an inch. This is 2/1000ths of an inch longer than 1 inch, 1.002 inches. I'm going to zero that out. Now, I'm going to take my cartridge, loaded cartridge, open up the jaws again, insert that head onto the jaws on the left, and I'm going to make my measurement. And what I'm seeing here is this is set at 2.062 of an inch. That may be good, that may be bad. But what is very interesting about this type of measurement and this particular tool is that it's very easy to have a slight problem in how we measure this. Does this look good? Notice that angle is not parallel with the caliper itself. And I can very quickly insert that, make my reading. I'm not looking at this too closely. 2.067. There we go. That one's done. Let's get another one. And we normally do this type of measurement as we're seating the bullets. And immediately after we seat a bullet, we run this in here. We know we like a certain CBTO setting. Pop that in there, close it up, read it, And if you're not really paying attention, you're not going to get a reliable and repeatable measure. You can pop this thing back in one more time. And the other thing we want to do is make sure that we're centered, that we have the head here centered on that jaw. That's pretty easy to look at. Just look at more or less you're splitting the primer. That looks good. And now we get back to that 2.063 measurement. That's off by about 1,000th compared to what we had before. So I was bothered with that. I was doing this and I could see, boy, I could see, oh, I bet you I had that one off just a little bit. Had the exact same setting on my Reading competition bullet seating die. That's a fantastic way to seat bullets. And then I'm like, wow, why am I off by a couple thousandths? This doesn't look right. Oh yeah, this was wrong. It wasn't exactly parallel here. Oh, that head of the case wasn't set directly on the jaws correctly. And so I found another tool, also made by Hornady. And that's it here. It's another anvil base. And what this one does is it goes on the other, in my case, the left jaw of that caliper. I'm going to open this up. I was putzing with this earlier. This is not like some unboxing. Now I just picked this up. Like I said, I was putzing with it a bit. And one of the things that I heard about this, some people complained it's not so good after all, is because they found that the actual base of this anvil was not perfectly flat. That is bad if they got kind of a bad one. But I looked at this one and it's pretty darn nice. So I'm going to go ahead and set that on there. I'm going to get it just nice and lined up with my existing tool. Tighten that up. Now again, I have to zero it. That's looking good. Open up the jaws again. Let's take this cartridge. Open the jaws very nicely. Now I got a very nice base to set that, and I'm getting 2.063. It's looking really nice. I mean, looking really nice. Now we still want to make sure that we are parallel with the caliper rule itself here, but this is a lot better. Is it perfect? No. One of the things I was thinking might be really nice is if there was almost like a shell holder here. Then of course I don't know how that would even work out. But something like that would probably work very nicely, because then you would be certain that you are placing that shell or that cartridge in the exact same place. And maybe just a whole other approach than this approach. Maybe a completely separate tool that simply does this job for you. Nonetheless, CBTO, coal and case length, very important measurements. Take your time doing these things. Develop the skill to do those things well. Make sure that you have good repeatable measures. And I do like this way of measuring CBTO with the new anvil. It looks like it will give me a little bit more reliability in my measurements, a little bit more repeatability in my measurements. Is it perfect? Nope, but it's still better than the way I was doing it before. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me, going through all this alphabet soup, and look forward to seeing you again on another Extreme Reloading. Thanks for watching.